Hello group, welcome to week 2 discussion. Katie asked us to talk about theories that work in our environment, such as our GA or our regular work environment. And since I'm working in the graduate school as the graduate assistant coordinator, my environment is mostly career oriented, helping people find jobs that appeal to them. Sometimes the jobs don't appeal to them, they just appeal to their sense of needing to pay for grad school, but for the most part we try to match people. So there are 3 career theories that I would like to talk about. The first one is John Crumbolt's career theory of planned happenstance. And in planned happenstance he talks about turning serendipity into opportunity. He talks about using your curiosity to explore learning opportunities and persisting in order to deal with obstacles, the flexibility to address various circumstances, and the optimism of maximizing unplanned events. For example, he talks about if you suddenly lose a job, thinking of it as an opportunity to change careers rather than something bad that has happened. He also talks about things that you will need to have in your kind of toolbox in order to be successful with this method. The first important thing that he talks about is an ongoing self-assessment. You need to understand yourself as best that you can. You need to know what skills are valuable to you. You need to know what things are important to you in a job. That kind of thing. Then he talks about effective networking and knowing how to use the networking abilities that you have most effectively. And then he talks about achieving a work-life balance. This is the part I'm still working on. I have yet to achieve a work-life balance. He also talks about financial planning for periods of unemployment. It's very important to plan ahead in case something should happen that you were not expecting, and therefore you would have ways to deal with that. His biggest message is to turn chance encounters into career opportunities. And so how this applies to my particular job is that when students come in and they complain because they're not working in their area or their graduate assistantship is, according to them, not preparing them for the work they want to do or the career choice that they have made, I try to convince them that there are transferable skills in any kind of opportunity that they're working with on campus that will transfer to just about any career out there. You basically just have to find what works for you and what things you can parlay into something else. For instance, teachers are very sought after for other jobs because they can parlay things like their organization, their responsibility for other people, their ability to supervise, things like that translate into job markets that may or may not be education oriented. So this tends to be a very appealing feature that teachers can bring to a job. One of the other theories that was mentioned also by Holly was John Holland's inventory, so to speak. He talks about different personality traits that will serve you on the job. He talks specifically about people preferring jobs where they work around like-minded people or people that are like them, and that if they can find a good fit, they'll most likely be successful in their job. For another class, I had to take the Holland inventory, and I came out with an SEC, which is Social, Enterprising, and Conventional. And this is one of the criticisms of Holland's theory, is that women tend to be more likely to come out in the social, conventional, and artistic realms. Now, obviously, artistic didn't fall in my scope of inventory, but this is one of the theories, or this is one of the criticisms of Holland's theory. Holland answers this by saying that women are, by society, driven into these types of positions. And I think to some extent this may be true. My career opportunities that it gave me were things like teacher, human resources, compensation and benefits specialist, a correctional facilities specialist, and receptionist, and then various other hospitality type jobs. For instance, jobs in hotel and restaurant management, jobs in convention and planning services, things like that. Which, interestingly enough, are all jobs that I have done at some point in my life, whether I just was interning, whether I was working through high school. All of these jobs fell within this type of line. So I personally have found a lot of success with Holland's theory, and I think it's fairly accurate. Just this evening, I gave my husband the Holland inventory to see how accurate it might be for men. And his was also pretty accurate. I won't talk much about it because he's not in the class, but he came out with things like computer technician, web designer, programming specialist, and he actually is in the IT fields. So this is pretty much accurate for him as well. And then the last theory I wanted to touch on was Albert Bandura's theory. It's a learning theory, but I kind of use it as a training model. Anytime I have to train employees, I train them by letting them shadow me and letting them watch what I do. And this is what Bandura says, is that people learn by watching others. So he says that the first step is to get their attention, to use something that will resonate with them and get their attention. And then retention is where they interpret your behaviors and turn them into verbal descriptions or mental images of the way things should be done. So the trainer serves as the role model for the trainee and how to do the things that you're doing based on modeling and an example. Then the next step is reproduction. The trainee would then attempt to reproduce the trainer's model, how to do things. And the last step is motivation. In order to get someone to continue doing something, we have to provide them some sort of motivation, or the motivation would have to be in some way intrinsic. They would have received past rewards, or present rewards, or vicarious rewards. And there are different explanations of the reward types as well. So these are the three models that I find most useful when helping students with graduate assistantship type orientations and tasks that they have to go through, and in discussing with them career choices that they might come to later. So I hope this has been helpful and informational. Can't wait to see you guys in class tomorrow.